My husband, Sebastian, was known in the art world as the Eye. He was the dazzling, charismatic owner of the Sterling Gallery in London. He was the man who could spot a misattributed Rembrandt in a dusty attic or a lost Vermeer at a Parisian flea market. He had the suit, the accent, and the reputation. I was Camille, the restorationist, the quiet woman in the back room who smelled of turpentine and varnish. I was the one who cleaned the paintings Sebastian found. Except Sebastian didn't find them, and I didn't clean them. I painted them. I was a prodigy who never made it to the gallery walls because I lacked the ego. But I could mimic a brushstroke with terrifying accuracy. I could bake a canvas to induce 400 years of cracking. I could mix pigments using lapis lazuli and bone char so they would pass a mass spectrometer test. We were a team. I created the history, he sold the myth. We had made £50 million in 10 years. The end came on a rainy Tuesday. Sebastian had left his briefcase in the study. He was usually careful, but he had been drinking expensive scotch to celebrate our upcoming auction, the sale of The Lady in Mist, a lost impressionist masterpiece I had spent 6 months creating. It was expected to fetch $20 million. I opened the briefcase to retrieve a pen. I found a dossier instead. It was from the Serious Fraud Office. Sebastian wasn't just careless, he was an informant. He had cut a deal. In exchange for full immunity and keeping his personal assets, he was handing them the forger. The narrative he had constructed was impressive. He claimed to be the victim, the duped gallerist who unknowingly sold fakes created by his manipulative, criminal wife. There were fabricated emails, forged diary entries in my handwriting, and a ticket for a flight to Brazil in my name. He was going to sell the painting, pocket the $20 million, and then watch the police drag me out of my studio. The auction was Saturday. I had 4 days. I didn't confront him. I didn't flee. I went to the studio. The Lady in Mist was already finished, sitting on the easel. She was beautiful, a swirl of grays and blues, mimicking the style of Monet during his London period. "Does she need a final touch?" Sebastian asked, leaning in the doorway, swirling his glass. He looked at me with that charming, predatory smile. "Just the varnish," I said, not looking up. "I want to try a new mixture, something to make the colors really pop under the auction lights." "Good girl," he said. "Make her shine, Camille. She's our retirement." He meant his retirement. I mixed the varnish, but I didn't use the standard Damar resin. I used a photosensitive polymer I had developed years ago, mostly as an experiment. It was a binder that remained stable in low light, but when exposed to high-intensity lux, like, say, the spotlights of a Christie's auction stage, it would undergo a rapid chemical degradation. It wouldn't just melt, it would turn completely transparent. But the real trick wasn't what would disappear, it was what would remain. I spent the next 3 nights working on the underpainting. In art, the pentimento is the underlying image that shows through when the top layer fades. Usually it's a mistake the artist corrected. My pentimento was no mistake. Saturday night was electric. The auction house was packed. The press was there. Sebastian stood at the front looking like a king. I stood in the back, wearing a coat, with my passport in my pocket. "Lot 42, the auctioneer announced, The Lady in Mist, discovered by Sebastian Sterling, a true triumph of preservation." The bidding started at $5 million. It climbed rapidly. 8, 10, 15. $18 million, shouted a buyer on the phone. $20 million, countered a man in the front row. Sold. The auctioneer banged the gavel. To the gentleman in the front for £20 million. The room erupted in applause. Sebastian beamed. He walked onto the stage to shake the auctioneer's hand and pose for photos with the painting. "Bring up the house lights," the photographer yelled. "Let's see it glow." The technicians cranked the spotlights to full power. 6,000 watts of pure white heat hit the canvas. Sebastian smiled for the cameras. Then the crowd gasped. It started at the edges.
The beautiful gray mist began to vanish. The blues evaporated. The impressionist strokes dissolved as if they were being washed away by invisible rain. Sebastian turned around, confused. What? Within 30 seconds, the lady in mist was gone. In its place, revealed on the stark white canvas in indelible, non-photosensitive black ink, was a QR code, a massive 2-foot-wide digital square, and beneath it, painted in Sebastian's own distinctive handwriting, which I had mastered years ago, were the words, "I, Sebastian Sterling, confess to the creation and sale of 14 forgeries. Scan for bank records." The room went dead silent. A journalist in the front row acted first. She held up her phone and scanned the canvas. "It works," she whispered, her voice carrying in the silence. "It links to a cloud drive. It has everything. The offshore accounts, the emails to the fraud office admitting he orchestrated the scams, the wire transfers." Sebastian stood frozen, staring at the canvas. He looked at the crowd. He looked at the police officers who were already moving toward the stage. He looked for me. But I was already gone. I took the service elevator to the street. I hailed a cab to Heathrow. The beauty of the deal Sebastian had made with the fraud office was that it granted immunity based on the premise that I was the mastermind and he was innocent. But the evidence on the screen and the confession he seemingly painted himself proved he was the architect. The deal was void. And since he had transferred the $20 million from the sale into a joint holding account in anticipation of his flight, well, I had access to that too. I checked my phone as the plane took off. The news was already breaking. Art world icon arrested on live TV. I ordered a glass of champagne. Sebastian always said he wanted to leave a mark on the art world. He wanted to be remembered. I smiled, watching London disappear beneath the clouds. He got his wish. He was a masterpiece.